Yeah, welcome everyone to today's session. So first of all, um, this is the data that we'll be using for this session. All right, it's a hypothetical data that I have created. So before you run any form of data analysis, of course, you are going to be capturing data and you're going to be having a data sheet or a database to analyze. So this is like an example of those sort of data sheets. So the purpose of this session is not to demonstrate how to do data analysis. I have several webinars I've done on data analysis using Arrow, using SPSS, using Epi Info. They're all there. But for us to be able to demonstrate how this table is formed, we will definitely need to run some basic analysis to be able to demonstrate ChatGPT forming these tables for us, okay? So that's why we would need the data. So I feel like using SPSS, but the principles you learn here can work with SPSS, it can work with Arrow, it can work with Stata, it can work with Epi Info, all right? It doesn't really matter. As long as that statistical software has the ability to generate a statistical output for you, all right? Then it's going to work very, very well. Okay, so the data I have here, I think I have about 175 respondents for this data. So I have the social demographic characteristics of the data, which is the age group, the sex, their educational status, the marital status, the employment, if they're employed or not, yes or no. Then the clinical staging, 1, 2 to 4. Then some of the anthropometric data, you have the weight, you have the height, you have the BMI, then the BMI categories, okay, based on the BMI numbers. Then you have the blood pressure, but the focus here is on the systolic, all right? I know the blood pressure has diastolic and systolic, but we are using just one arm, which is the systolic. Then the category based on this value, either it is high blood pressure, yes or no. Then the main outcome variable, which is the quality of life. So this quality of life, it's the motivating factor for this research. All right. So when you have a data like this, you would have the explanatory variables, which I've shown you. Then you would have the dependent variable, which is the quality of life here. So this is the reason why you're doing this research. You want to be able to check maybe the prevalence of quality of life and also factors that are associated with quality of life of these respondents. So but before you collect this data, there's something you probably would have done, okay, which is this, like a dummy table you would do first. I recommend everyone to do something like this. So you create like a dummy table for your chapter 4, all right? It's a really good practice. Create a dummy table for your chapter 4, all right? You put your general aim for this study. So based on the data we have collected, the aim that inspired that data is to assess the quality of life of study participant and examine its relationship with social demographic characteristic, anthropometric indices, and blood pressure measurement. All right. So, like I mentioned earlier, the quality of life is the main focus of this work. This is the purpose of doing this work. All right. You want to be able to assess the quality of life. Then at the end of the day, you want to see how some of these independent or explanatory variables influences the participant's quality of life. So you have a general aim, then you now have the specific aim. So for each specific aim or specific objective, you create like a dummy table, what that table will look like. All right. So you have like your objective 1 here. So in that objective 1, you want to describe the social demographic profile of the study participants, including key background characteristics using frequency and percentages. So you've created a dummy table like this. So in that dummy table 1, you're looking at the social demographic characteristics and your sample size is 175. So you can leave it this way, or you can put the values here, the age and the rest of them, the variables and the values here, but it doesn't really matter. It can be this way blank, all right? Then you have your objective 2, which is to summarize the anthropometric and blood pressure measurement of the study participant using mean and standard deviation. So here you're only focusing on the continuous variables for the anthropometric characteristics and the blood pressure. So you have the variables. Of course, you're going to be having mean and standard deviation. But like I've said in my videos, whether you're going to use mean and standard deviation or you're going to use median or interquartile range is not dependent on you. It's not a decision you make. Oh, I feel like using mean or I feel like using median. So I've said time without number in most of my sessions that you have to run a normality test. You have to run a Shapiro-Wilk normality test for the continuous variable. So if you run a Shapiro-Wilk normality test and the p-value is less than 0.05, meaning statistically significant, what that means is your variable or the continuous variable you had tested, they significantly deviates from normality. All right, it's a very easy something to do. Like this is the SPSS file now, and we have continuous variables here, the anthropometric variable majorly and the high blood pressure and the blood pressure. So you go to analyze, descriptive, and explore. Okay, so you can put the continuous variables into the dependent list here. All right, then you can go to plots and check normality plot with test. That's all you need to do. All right, I'm not sure there's anything you do in statistics. Okay, yeah, the descriptive is checked by default because it's needed. I think that's all. The main place you go to is the plots. Then you check normality plots with test. I think that's all. So normality is done only for continuous variable. All right. So you say okay, and it's going to generate the Shapiro-Wilk normality. You look for it down, see it here. So you can see the weight is significant, the height is significant, BMI is significant, systolic blood pressure is significant. So the Shapiro-Wilk has the statistics and also the p-value. Both the Kolmogorov, Smirnov, and the Shapiro-Wilk, they are all showing statistical significant p. What does that mean? It means that weight, height, BMI, and systolic blood pressure significantly deviates from normality. So we're supposed to use non-parametric, which is median and interquartile range, not actually mean and standard deviation, okay? But the reason why I'm using mean and standard deviation for this table is because it's a practice, all right? I'm only showing you how to prompt a table using ChatGPT. But in the true sense of the word, you would use median and interquartile range, okay? So that's for your objective 2. Then for your objective 3, this time you are not looking only on the summary statistics, you're also looking at the categorical variables that are there. So in other words, to present the distribution of the anthropometric indices and blood pressure variables, including the categorical classifications. So you're looking at the mean and also the categorical classification. So the categorical classification for BMI and the categorical classification for blood pressure. You're also interested in that. So your objective 4, which is where your inferential statistics start. So you would see that objective 1 to describe, objective 2 to summarize, objective 3 to present. They are all descriptive statistics. All right, because you're not showing any form of inferences. But the moment you move to objective 4 to examine the association between selected social demographic characteristics and quality of life status among the study participants using chi-square. So objective 4 is an inferential statistics. Why is it inferential statistics? Because now you are looking at how the explanatory variable, which is, for example, social demographic characteristic, influences your dependent outcome, which is the quality of life, whether it's poor or good. So it's only in objective 4 and also in objective 5, which you can see, because objective 5 too, it's an inferential statistics. Here you are looking at the mean anthropometric and blood pressure measurement. So why in objective 4 you're dealing with categorical variables? All right, social demographic characteristics are categorical variables. So you're going to be checking for differences in percentages. That's why you're using the chi-square and the p-value. But for objective 5, you are looking at mean difference of quality of life. And the mean difference is the continuous variables of the anthropometric variable, which you have seen initially the way they hide. So you're looking at how the mean BMI is in the poor group, how the mean BMI is in the good. So because you're checking for differences in two means, you're going to be using the student t-test, basically the independent student t-test and your p-value. So in objective 4 is an inferential statistics. Objective 5 is an inferential statistics. I think objective 6 is also an inferential statistics. Okay, but in this part of the inferential statistics, you are now going ahead. You're now using logistic regression. 4, you use the chi-square. 5, you use the t-test. 6, you're now using the logistic regression, where you want to check for the crude odds and also for the adjusted odds ratio. For the adjusted odds ratio. All right. So for objective 4 and objective 5 and objective 6, okay, we can have hypothesis. So you can only have hypotheses in inferential statistics. You can't have hypotheses for objective 1, 2, and 3 because they are not inferential statistics. So objective 4, you can have a hypothesis. So you start with a null hypothesis. So if I'm to put a null hypothesis here, it will be there is no, so let me put a null here, a null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis will be there is no statistical significant difference between social demographic characteristics and quality of life status. So that would be the null hypothesis here. Okay? So this is the null hypothesis. Then you can have the alternate hypothesis. So the alternate hypothesis would be, will now be there is a statistical significant difference between social demographic characteristics and quality of life. So we will now run the analysis to see whether we're going to accept our null hypothesis or we're going to reject our null hypothesis and accept our alternate hypothesis. So you can only have hypotheses in objectives that are inferential statistics. So we can have hypotheses in objective 4, we can have hypotheses in objective 5, we can have hypotheses in objective 6. So you have created your dummy tables for each of your specific objective. So what you now need to do now is to begin to analyze your data. So what we do basically is, let's say for objective 1 now, which is the social demographic characteristics, the data is already here. All right. So I can go to analyze descriptive frequency. All right. Then I can put my social demographic characteristics, including the clinical staging. I can put them together. I put these, I put these, I put these, I put this, I put this, I put this. Then I move them here. I think that's all. You don't have to do anything. Then you're okay. So it gives you the table like this. So what we normally do before, we have to do these manually. Like for sex, for example, you can copy this here and come to your table, your chapter 4 table, maybe put it up here to help you. Then you can put sex here. Then you can put your male here. You can put your female here. Then for the male, it is 51. The percentage is 29.1. For your female, it's 124. The percentage is 70.9. So this is what we normally do, you know. So you have to do this one after the other. And trust me, this is a lot of work. And with ChatGPT, you don't have to do this work manually anymore. There's no need for that, okay? So that's the purpose of this class, to ensure that you don't have to move values from your analysis output into your result table manually. You can automate this process. So first, let's go to the lecture note for today. So the first one we'll look at from statistical output to clean structured MS Word tables. All right, so the common problem, most statistical software produce output that are fragmented across multiple windows, poorly formatted for Word, as you can see. This is poorly formatted for Word. And you know, especially for my school of public health, we don't encourage students to use analysis output for their table. You can't copy this and put it in your result table. Let's say this is your analysis result table. You now put it here like this. All right. They will grade you low. You can't have this table in your work. Your table has to be formatted this way. All right. So that's part of the challenge with the data analysis outputs. The outputs are not formatted properly for Word. All right. Inconsistent with Thesis or journal table format standard. I don't think there's any journal that will want you to use this format for your tables. And I don't think there's any school that want you to use this format for your table as well. All right. So the analytic work may be correct, but the presentation is not manuscript ready or thesis ready. So the goal here is not for ChatGPT to perform a new analysis, okay? You will perform the analysis using a statistical software, SPSS, Epi Info, whatever it is. So we are not using ChatGPT to perform any new data analysis. The statistical software will do their job. So the role of the ChatGPT for this session is to restructure existing output, improve clarity and formatting, preserve exact numerical values and statistical meaning, all right, so that your table comes out fine and appropriate, okay? So what the workflow will look like, we'll run the analysis in SPSS, then we'll have the output like I've shown you, descriptive statistics will come out, we'll do bivariate, we'll do multivariate as well. Then we will now have to export the copy of these analysis output into ChatGPT. Then we'll give ChatGPT a prompt. ChatGPT will be able to use that prompt to generate for us an MS Word ready tables. All right, different types of tables. So we already have our tables. All right, so let's get to work. So the first is this. So not to worry, every material I'm using here, I'm going to share it with you. All right. So when I'm sharing the recordings, I would have all the materials I'm using, like I always do, in a fixed share. So the only thing you would do is to revise some aspect. I have tried to highlight some of the areas that may differ in your own. All right. So the first thing we would do is the descriptive tables. All right, so the descriptive table for objective one. So we'll do this one first, which is the variable name, the frequency, and the percentages. So this is the ChatGPT instruction, okay? So we will tell ChatGPT to review the analysis tables provided and merge them into one consolidated table. So which analysis? So these are the analysis we have done in SPSS. So these are the analysis, these are the different table for age, for sex, for educational status, marital status, employment, and clinical staging. So we are telling ChatGPT to merge this individual table into one consolidated table that will look like this. Just one table that will look like this. So that's what we're telling ChatGPT to do. Now, another thing I have to say, the reason why I had to put this instruction, because a lot of times the way ChatGPT works, especially there's something they call prompt engineering. If you have not done, maybe just check online. I did a course on prompt engineering. I think there are several courses there online for prompt engineering. I think that was the first course I did before I started using ChatGPT very well. It teaches you how to communicate with ChatGPT. It's a skill. All right, ChatGPT communicates a bit differently from a human being. So you have to give it, since it's a machine, you have to give it enough detail to work. If you don't give it enough detail to work, you're going to have issues with hallucination, meaning you will not be getting the outputs that you want. And you'll be wondering, ChatGPT is not responding very well. So the skill to actually prompt ChatGPT and give it all the information it needs to be able to generate what you want can be learned. So you can check online, but if you're not able to find anything, you can do me a message, later on, Yeah, so I think I should be able to check. I think there's one I did. I don't know. I've forgotten there's one I did, but I can. So let me drop that's my WhatsApp. That's my WhatsApp message. So I'll drop my email as well. My Gmail is this. So prompt engineering. So you can send me a message and say, if you're not able to get a course, I think I did one, but I'm not able to remember the organization that I did it at. Oh, there. Okay. So it's very important. So it's that prompt engineering skill that grounded my ability to be able to, talk to ChatGPT in a very efficient way to get what I want. So I'm telling ChatGPT to review all the individual tables that I have and consolidate them into one table. And that table I titled it Table 1, Social Demographic Characteristics. So let ChatGPT know the exact name you're using for that table. And I used the same exact name. All right. I didn't just say anything. I copied exactly the way it is so that ChatGPT will know exactly the table that I am referring to. So I highlighted this because this may change. The highlighted sentence may change in your own. Yours may be table 2, yours may be table 3, yours may not be social demographic characteristics, it may be something else. Okay? Yeah. So you go further to tell ChatGPT the final table should include variable names, corresponding frequencies, and percentages. So if you look at the table, you are supposed to have your variable names here, you're supposed to have your frequency, you're supposed to have your percentages. So ChatGPT should know that. And you go further to tell ChatGPT to ensure that all values are transferred exactly as presented in the original analysis table. This is the original analysis table from the SPSS output. ChatGPT also need to know that no new variables, calculations, or interpretations should be introduced. Percentages and frequencies are not modified or recomputed, meaning ChatGPT, please use exactly what you're seeing here. Do not add your own words. Do not add your own values. Do not add your own anything. So finally, you tell ChatGPT the table layout is clear, simple, and suitable for direct insertion into an MS Word document, because this is the reason why you need ChatGPT help, so that you'll be able to paste directly into your own table. So finally, you tell ChatGPT to present the output as a single clean table with appropriate column headings. As you can see here, this table has appropriate column headings, variable, frequency, and percent, appropriate column heading. All right. So the final thing is, do not include interpretation or narrative explanation of the result. That's not what you want to do now. There is a special prompt for generating results. So what I would recommend you to do is always add this so that ChatGPT can follow. Because when you tell ChatGPT to do too many things, oftentimes it begins to hallucinate. So it's better to focus ChatGPT. Let it do one thing at a time. So what I usually do is I will only ask ChatGPT to create the tables. After ChatGPT has finished creating all the tables that I need, then I have a special prompt for ChatGPT to begin to write the result for each of the table. All right, so that way the accuracy is at a very high level, or at a very high, percentage. So I would encourage you to do the same. I know sometimes you may be in a hurry and you want it to generate the table and the result at the same time. So please work with ChatGPT one stage at a time if you want to get better result outputs, because that reduces the probability for it hallucinating. All right, so this is where you would paste the data analysis. Then this is the sample table. You have to put a sample table below, because you had said that review the analysis tables provided. So those analysis tables, you paste them here. Then you had said to consolidate them following the structure of table. So that table has to be below here so that ChatGPT will know what it is consolidating it for. So the analysis output is here. So all you need to do, you can do Control A, highlight all of them, copy them. All right, it's easy to copy from SPSS output. You can do that for Stata, Epi Info, Arrow, and the rest of them. All right, so come to this place where I say paste data analysis, you can just put it here. So the data analysis is here. So once you have pasted all the tables and you ensure that everything is here, all you need to do is to copy. Control A, just copy everything, copy everything and go to your ChatGPT and paste it there. That's all. That's all. Just paste it there. That's all. Then you send. You see, it has generated the tables for you. So you don't have to be doing that manually. So it has put everything. So this is actually a Word format, but you know how GPT works? You know, it would paste it on the wall here. So what you need to do is you create a blank Word document. Create a blank Word document like this. A blank Word document. Then go back to your ChatGPT. Come to this place here, copy table. So click on it. When it copies, it will show you like good, it has copied. Go to the blank MS Word, paste it there. So this is what the table looks like. But you had created your own table. All right. So all you do is copy the text. Just copy the text. That's all. Copy the text and go to your result table and paste it there. That's all. That's all you do. So it's set. All right. So if you still have extra columns, you can still delete them. All right. Can still delete them. So this is it. So you would see that it brought greater or equal to 65 up. The reason is because it is following what is here. So the age grouping, because of this greater or equal to 65, the SPSS formatting had to bring it up. That's exactly what ChatGPT is doing. But you know that greater or equal to 65 is not supposed to be on the first row. So you can bring it down manually. All right. So you can create an additional row and move this, highlight this and move it down. Okay. Then delete this row. That's all. So your first table is created. So instead of having to move all these individual values one by one, that's a lot of work. It has done it for you just by using a prompt. So your objective one is addressed. But like I said, I have a prompt for writing up the result. So we'll wait till the end for that. So the second one is objective two, where we are dealing with the mean and the standard deviation for the anthropometric variable. So first, we have to run the analysis first, then open the prompt. So what you do, anytime you run an analysis, delete it, because if you run a second analysis now, it's going to come under this. And if you do Control A and copy, it's going to copy both this and copy both the new analysis, and that will cause confusion for ChatGPT. So you run the analysis table by table. That's why I showed you the different tables that are guided by the specific objective. So when you finish objective one, you just close it out. It says save, there's no need. Say no, close it out. Then run another analysis for table two, which is the mean and standard deviation for the anthropometric and blood pressure. So we go to SPSS. So you come to analyze, but this time is descriptive statistics. But so I have done this, so I just reset. So my focus is on the continuous variable, and you would easily know the continuous variable because you will see a ladder form in SPSS. So I copy my weights, I hold the control. So if you want to copy more than one variable, you hold down your control key in your laptop. So I click on weight, I click on height, I click on BMI, and blood pressure. So these are the four continuous variables I have here. There's no one again. Then I push it inside here. So because it's continuous variable, you're interested in summary statistics, which is mean and standard deviation. So you're going to remove or uncheck this display frequency table. So uncheck it. It will ask you if you want to turn it off. You say yes, because you don't need frequency for continuous variable. So to pick our mean and standard deviation, we go to statistics, we choose our mean, then we choose our standard deviation. That's all. Then you continue and you say okay. So that's giving you the mean and standard deviation. So what you would do manually before is to copy this, and which is what I usually do before. Then I will go to my table 2 and maybe paste it below here. When I paste it here, then I will do weight first. I can type my weight like this. Then the mean weight is 72 point, maybe 11. Maybe I can do 2 decimals. Then I can come to inserts here, choose my plus or minus, then finalize it 71.88. Then I will do that for height, do that for BMI, do that for systolic growth. What if you have 10 continuous variables you want to do mean and standard deviation for? So that's going to take you time. So you don't have to be doing this manually anymore. All right. So all you need to do is go to the prompt, the second prompt, which is number 2 for the anthropometric. So I have written the prompt here. So review the analysis output, almost the same thing. Then the table should contain a column listing the variables, the column reporting the mean and standard deviation. So this slightly differs from the first one, which is frequency and percentages. Ensure that all mean and standard deviation values are copied exactly from the original output. No new calculations or transformation are performed. So all these things are very important. ChatGPT can hallucinate. So you have to give it an instruction so that it will give you something perfect, so that it doesn't add values that are not in your original analysis. So no additional variables are introduced. The table is clean, simple, and formatted for direct insertion into the Word document. So do not include interpretation or narrative explanation of the result at this time. Then you paste the data analysis here. Then you have a sample table for it to work with. That sample table has to tally with what is up here. So we'll go to the output. So we'll come here, we'll copy it, and we put it here. We can replace this. So put it here. I had to put that so that you would remember where to paste it. That's all. Then you would do control. So you highlight everything, copy everything, then go to your ChatGPT and paste it here. Just paste it and it's going to generate the table for you. So it has generated the table very easily. So you can copy that, like I said, go to your MS Word documents and paste it there. Okay, then you can now copy it from here, then go to your result table and paste it there. So you have extra things. So as you can see, it's using all the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5 decimals is using everything. Why is it using everything? Because that's the way it is in your SPSS. So it's replicating what is in SPSS. So you have to confirm if it's correct. So you can copy this just to check one more time, because SPSS, ChatGPT can hallucinate. So it is your ethical responsibility to ensure that it is correct. So let me remove these extra tables before I paste it. All right. I need the down border. Okay, so I can paste this here just to confirm it did the right thing. So for weight, 72.11.71 is correct. For height, 160, 13.72 is correct. For BMI, 25.27, 5.430 is correct. Systolic blood pressure, 123.14, 21.72 is correct. So I have confirmed that what it transferred, it's accurate. All right, so the next thing now, as you can see, this is 4 decimals. You don't need 4 decimals. 2 decimals is okay. So because it is replicating this, that's why it's giving 4 decimals. So you can give another instruction to ChatGPT. You can tell ChatGPT, I have it here. You can tell ChatGPT, ensure the values are reported to 2 decimal places throughout the table. So you can tell ChatGPT that. So that's an additional instruction So you can come here and paste that instruction. That's if you don't, but if you're fine with the 4 decimals, it's okay. But if you're not fine with the 4 decimals, then put an additional instruction so that ChatGPT can reduce the 4 decimals to 2 decimals. So it's just a line. Ensure the values are reported to 2 decimal places throughout the table. That's all. And you send it. You would see that it will adjust the 4 decimal places to 2 decimals, which is exactly what is most probably ideal. So this is now 2 decimals. So this is what you really want. So you can still copy this. Go to the MS Word. You can delete this, paste the new one. So copy this from here, go to your result table, and you can remove this and paste the new one with the 2 decimals. So this is it. So you're good. You can now Control S, you can save. So we will now progress to objective 3. Now, objective 3, now the reason why I'm doing this objective 3 is to show you that peradventure, although you would notice that the things you have in objective 2, they are the things you have in objective 3. The only difference is that there are some continuous variables that were categorized, like BMI was categorized, blood pressure was also categorized, and you want to have the categorical BMI and the blood pressure category with the continuous variable in one table. So unlike this one where you only want the mean and standard deviation or the median and interquartile range, then you now have another anthropometric table where you will now put the categorical one. But if you want to have both, you can also do so. There's an instruction to do so. But that instruction has 2 strategies, which I'm going to show you. So to address objective 3, where we would now be analyzing the continuous variable and also the categorical variables that were gotten from the continuous variable. No, someone is asking, does this only apply to paid version of ChatGPT? No. Now, the thing with the paid version of ChatGPT is you have the opportunity to attach. All right? Unlimited attachments. But for the 3.5 and also 4, when it's free, the free version, you have limited opportunity to add a file. But the good thing with this demonstration is you are not uploading any file, you're not attaching any file. You are only pasting a text in the body of the ChatGPT. So it will not limit you in any way. All right. You will not be limited whether you're using the free version or you're using the paid version. It will still work the same way. All right. So someone is asking to share the prompt. I'm sorry. I would share that later. All right. I've been doing a lot of work ensuring that the prompts are working. I didn't want to share something that will not work. So I've confirmed it and it's working now. So after the session, like I said, I will share the recording and all the prompts documents for you. Then you can practice on your own. If you run into any problem, you can still reach out to me. Okay, so just take some time and just concentrate on what I'm doing. Okay, all right, thank you. So we'll go to the third one. So which is this table here. So instead of having just the means, you want to be able to merge both your mean and your frequency. It happens sometimes. So I wanted to show you that is possible too, and ChatGPT will not get confused in doing that. All right. So we would use the third prompt, and that third prompt is called mixed descriptive table. So I have strategy 1, where you give ChatGPT a table like this without giving ChatGPT a clue on the fact that you want the mean and you want the frequency in the same table. So that's strategy 1. But in strategy 2, you will make it a bit more clearer for ChatGPT what you want. Let me repeat that. In strategy 1, you just put a table and you make ChatGPT figure out how to arrange the mean and frequency in this same table. But in the strategy 2, you make things a bit clearer. for ChatGPT to know that you actually want the mean and the frequency to be in the same table without creating an additional column for the mean. So we will see how the both of them work. All right, but both of them are fine depending on what you want. Okay, but I would prefer the second strategy so that I don't have to have additional column. So let's run that analysis for our objective 3, where we have our anthropometric and blood pressure, both the continuous and the categorical one. So we have the data here. So like I said, for every objective analysis you run, just close it, because if you run another analysis, that analysis would be under this one. And if you Control A, copy and paste in your ChatGPT will not be sure whether they are replicating this or they are replicating the new analysis. So when you run an analysis for an objective, just delete, just close it out and run a fresh one. There's no need to save. All right, so we go to our data. So first, you would run the means first. You run the means first for the anthropometric and blood pressure. So you go to your descriptive statistics, frequency. So it's already there. I've done it before, but I can still do it again. I can reset. All right. So let's pick all the means, weight, height, BMI, blood pressure, and you put them here. So you uncheck this because you don't need to display frequency for continuous variable. You just want the mean and standard deviation for the normally distributed data, or the median and interquartile range for the skewed data. So you uncheck this and say, okay. Then you go to statistics and you choose your mean and you choose your standard deviation. That's all. Then you continue and say, okay. So it has generated this for you. But the anthropometric and blood pressure, they have the continuous values have also been categorized. So you also want them. But that's a different analysis strategy. So you go to analyze, descriptive, you go to frequency again. So this is not what we want to do. So you reset and take it to the original state. So this is what we want, the BMI category and the high blood pressure category. So it's frequency we want for them. So that's why we have display frequency tables. So you said, okay, so that's it. So we have our continuous mean, standard deviation, we have our frequency. So you Control A, copy everything, and you come back to your prompt. So this is strategy 1. So we are looking at means, frequency, percentages in one table. So this is the prompt. Review the analysis output provided in the extract, which is this one. All right. And present them in one table. I have a table 3 here. You have to put the table under. Then for continuous variable, report the mean and standard deviation. For categorical variable, report frequency and percentages. Ensure that mean and standard deviation values are reported to 2 decimals. You see, because it's 2 decimals I want. I've told ChatGPT that the mean and standard deviation should be reported in 2 decimals. If you don't tell ChatGPT that the mean and standard deviation should be reported in 2 decimals, it's going to report them in 4 decimals, because SPSS presents mean and standard deviation in 4. I think mean is 4 decimals. Standard deviation is even 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Standard deviation is even 5 there. So it's going to present it like that. So you have to tell ChatGPT, I only want 2 decimals, which is what is usually recommended for thesis and publication. So the frequency and percentages are copied exactly the way they are. No new calculation, reclassification, or statistical tests are introduced. All right, because these are frequencies. There's no statistical test. So if there's a statistical test, we don't know where it's getting it from. The continuous and categorical variable are clearly distinguished within the table so that people can know which one is categorical, which one is continuous, and format it for MS Word. Do not include interpretation or narrative. ChatGPT can include a footnote so that people can know that SD means standard deviation. It can do that for you, so you can put it in the instruction as well. So here we can now paste the data analysis. So that's for strategy 1. So you give ChatGPT a table, but no clue on how to arrange the mean and standard deviation. All right. So you highlight this. You copy this, which is the strategy 1. Then you go to your ChatGPT and paste it there, and you run it. You see what ChatGPT has done. Okay, ChatGPT did it well this time. I think it's because I had done it. That's why this thing is called artificial intelligence. It can learn things, all right? Because because of the practice I did before the session, ChatGPT is already aware that I like my mean and my frequency to be in the same table. All right. So it's the same thing. So there will be no need to do the strategy two. So it has gotten it in strategy one. All right. So this is what I want. This is how I want it. However, for yours, if you do the strategy one, you would see that it will create a column here for mean. It will create a column for mean. Then it will create a frequency column. Then it will create a percent column. So you will have like 3 columns. All right. But because it is learning, it knows that I want the mean and the frequency to be so that I can use something like a key to maybe give a clue what this means. But you won't get confused because if you look at the weights, you would see the mean and SD. So everyone knows that this is actually mean and SD, and everyone knows this is actually frequency and percentages. No, like I've said, this does not apply to only paid version of ChatGPT. You can do this in free version of ChatGPT. It will work very okay. Like I said, the only limitation you may have if you're using the free ChatGPT is when you want to upload files, when you want to attach things, okay? So the paid one give you unlimited opportunity to add files. But the free one, you add some files. After a while, it tells you have to wait for so number of hours to add another file. But if you see this demonstration, you are not uploading any file, you're not attaching any file, you're putting text in ChatGPT to generate this table. So you will not have any limitation. All right. Yes, the documents, like I said, will be shared. Yes, it will be shared. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so what you do now, just copy this, okay? Go to Word, a blank Word, like I said, paste it there. Then you can now copy this and put in your own table that you have created, which is your table 3, okay? So you can paste it here now. So this is it. So we have extra, so we can remove these extra rows. Put the tick, the border down. Then you can centralize this, highlight this and centralize it. So there's no confusion. Anyone that looks at this, your table knows that you have continuous variables here. You have categorical variables here. So it's clear. And they know that for the continuous variable, you have your mean and standard deviation, which is this, up to this point. Then you have your categorical, which is represented in frequency and percentages. So there's no confusion at all. So that is for objective 3. So instead of having just one table to represent the means and another table to represent the category for the anthropometric and blood pressure measurement, you can have one table to represent both, just like this, which works very, very okay. All right, so let's move now to objective 4. So we have been doing descriptive statistics. So objective 4 now, we will look at inferential statistics because here you are looking at association, how social demographic characteristics influence quality of life. So it's an inferential statistics. And in the beginning of the class, I mentioned to you that when you have associations or inferential statistics, you can create hypotheses. All right, you can only create hypotheses in inferential statistics or in associations. So I did an example of a hypothesis here. which is the null hypothesis, there is no statistical significant difference between social demographic characteristics and quality of life. Then the alternate hypothesis, there is a statistical significant difference between social demographic characteristics and quality of life. All right, so you have a null and alternate hypothesis for each of your inferential statistics, but you don't do null hypothesis for descriptive statistics. All right, it's not necessary. I mean, just imagine I've seen something like this. Somebody wrote a specific objective, which is a descriptive, to determine the prevalence of hypertension among elderly patients, to determine the prevalence of hypertension among elderly patients. This is a descriptive objective. Then the person now did the hypothesis and said there is no significant difference. There is no significant difference in the prevalence of hypertension among elderly. That hypothesis does not make sense. So there's no significant difference in the prevalence. So what is the prevalence comparing with? So it doesn't make sense. So you can have hypotheses in descriptive statistics. Please note that, okay? You can only have hypotheses when you are doing an association between the explanatory variable, in this case, social demographic characteristics, and your outcome variable or dependent variable, in this case, quality of life status. So that's for objective 4. So you have already created the table. Okay. All right, so let's run the statistics that will help us address this table. We're doing an association between social demographic characteristics and quality of life. So let's go to SPSS again. So like I said, we are done with this. So you close it out. Now, then we go to this. So let's run the association. So we go to analyze. Descriptive statistics, cross tabulations, because we want to run chi-square. Why are we running chi-square? Because chi-square is used for checking differences in percentages. So your role will be the explanatory. You put your rows in the explanatory variable, which is the social demographic characteristics. Then your outcome variable, which is the dependent variable. The main reason why you're doing that work, quality of life, you put it in the column. That's why if you check the table, your result table, you will see that the social demographic characteristics, they are in rows. They are in rows, but your quality of life, they are in 2 columns, poor and also good. So SPSS also follows that principle. So let's put our social demographic characteristics inside the role. Then our outcome, which is the quality of life, we'll put it in the column. So it's a chi-square we're doing. So we go to exact and no, we don't need anything here. We go to statistics and choose chi-square. Then continue. Then we go to cells and choose role. I know that I'd explained in some of my webinars the difference between using row percentages and using column percentages. So let me explain that quickly again. If you look at this, your table, you have quality of life. Now, quality of life is a variable. Now, inside this quality of life variable, you have poor and good inside it. So quality of life is one variable. It's not distinct. You see, so anytime you have a variable name and you have a value inside that variable name, okay? Inside that variable name, you use the role percentages. But if you have distinct, for example, now, instead of quality of life, you are doing maybe a study on quasi-experimental. One group is an intervention group, another group is the control group. So here you have intervention, here you have control. So up here you have group. Now, intervention is a distinct population. Control is a distinct population. So when you have the 2 groups that are distinct, they are distinct, all right? Then you use column percentages. But when you have a dependent variable where the values are inside that variable, you use row percentages. So that's why we are using row percentages, so that it will total 100 at the end. So you continue. I think that's all. There's no other thing. You say, okay. All right. All right. So this is the inferential statistics. So let's go to the prompts for inferential statistics. I think it's this one. Good. So instruction for a chi-square test result. You start by telling ChatGPT with row percentages totaling 100%. So ChatGPT knows that there's a row percentage that would total 100% here. It needs to know that. Okay. So we're still looking at the prompts. Review the cross-tabulation output provided for social demographic characteristics and quality of life. It's here. They are all here. So review these outputs. They are all here. You're telling ChatGPT to review them. So why I highlighted this may change in your own. So yours may not be social demographic characteristics and quality of life. It may be something else. Now present the result in a single table titled social demographic characteristics and quality of life. So this is the table. So it's table 4. So this is the table. So use this exact title for that. Remove this, use the exact title. All right. So I wanted to do that so that you will appreciate the importance of using the exact title. Don't just type anything. Use the exact title that is in the table sample you had put here for ChatGPT to use. Then structure the table as follows. Rows. Social demographic variables will be in rows, like I mentioned to you. Columns will have quality of life or quality of life good, which is already here. You've already done that. You are letting ChatGPT know exactly what you want. Then total, which is 100, will be here. Then the chi-square and the p-value will be here. So ChatGPT needs to know that. Ensure that frequency and percentages are reported as n and brackets. So meaning that ChatGPT should put a number and in brackets should put a percentage, because sometimes people would do one column will represent the frequency, another column will represent the percentage. So ChatGPT needs to know which format is he using. ChatGPT needs to know that you're using row percentage that is totaling 100%. All right. ChatGPT needs to put the exact chi-square and the corresponding p-value the way it is from these analysis outputs. Okay. So another thing ChatGPT needs to know is the significance value. It should put asterisks. The p-values that are statistically significant, it should put asterisks. No new calculations, reclassification, or additional statistical. So whatever statistical test is not represented in this SPSS output, ChatGPT should not put it. And it should put the format clear, aligned, and suitable for direct insertion in an MS Word format. Always remember to add, do not include interpretation or narrative explanation. Like I said before, there is a ChatGPT instruction for this, and you do that after you have created all your tables so that you minimize any error or ChatGPT hallucinating. Okay? All right. So this is where you paste the result. So let's go to the SPSS output. So Control A, highlight everything, Control C, copy, then paste it here. Paste the analysis output here. So that's it. So you still have your table 4 under. So that's all you do. All right. So we copy everything. You copy everything the way it is, including the ChatGPT instruction. Copy it and go to your ChatGPT and paste it there. All right. And enter and send. So it's going to display the table for you the way it's supposed to be. See it? So it has displayed the table for you. All right. Everything based on the instruction you have given ChatGPT, it has displayed it for you. So that is all of them. So you come here and you copy the table, then go to your blank MS Word, remove this, paste it here first. All right. After you've pasted it here first, then you can copy it. You can copy it. All right. And come here and paste it because you already have a format. So you just paste it here. So that's it. All right. So like I said, this one will have to come down. this guy here will have to come down. It's always putting it there because of the way SPSS produce the output. If you check, see it here. Greater or equal to 65 was on top. So you delete this row. So you have your chi-square and your p-values. So any statistical significant one, it has put the asterisk here because you asked it to put asterisk. All right, so let's delete these extra rows that are here. Delete these extra rows that are here. Then this asterisk now, which is the significance, you can come under here and do asterisk and say statistical significance. You can do that yourself, which is P insert P less than or equal to 0.05. So that's it. So for the statistical significant employment status, you can bold in this. You can make this bold because that's what we normally do. I think that's the only variable that was statistically significant. The others were not statistically significant. So the age, so that's the chi-square, that's the p-value, chi-square, p-value, chi-square, p-value, and the rest of them. So we now move to objective 5. We now move to objective 5. So in objective 5, it's not categorical and you're not doing chi-square because objective 4 is chi-square percentages because you are checking for differences in percentages. But objective 5, you are checking for differences in two means. So checking for differences in two means, you are going to be using the independent student t-test. So the continuous variable like the weight, the height, the BMI, you want to check the mean BMI in those that are poor and in those that are good. Okay, so that's objective 5. So we're also going to do that as well. So let's close out this. We are done with this. So let's run this analysis now. So to run this analysis, we'll go to analyze, but this time we'll go to compare means. But before we go to compare means, let me show us something. If we look at our outcome variable, if I convert this, you will see that poor is 1, good is 0. I mean, look at the quality of life. If I run the conversion, you will see that poor is 1 because I'm interested in poor. Poor is the value that I'm interested in for this research, meaning that I want to see the explanatory variables that will cause poor quality of life. So that's why in the SPSS coding, my interest value is 1, then my non-interest value, which is good, is 0. So you need to know this because when you're running mean differences, SPSS is going to ask you for those values. So I needed to show you that, okay, as we can see now. So we go to analyze, you go to compare means. Initially for chi-square, we go to descriptive statistics and we go to cross tabulation. That's for chi-square. But for differences in means, especially for the independent sample t-test we want to do, we come to compare means and we come to independent sample t-test. Like I said, this is not a data analysis tutorial. I have lots of videos where I did data analysis using chi-square, using SPSS, Epi Info, and also Arrow. So if you need data analysis session, you can explore those webinars. Okay. So before I forget, let me put up in case some of you are wondering where will you find it. So let me put it in the chat again. So you can just go to this page and you would get all the relevant videos that you need for data analysis. Okay, I will take questions at the end of the session. All right, so let's run the analysis. So analyze, compare means, then we go to independent sample t-test. So reset. So I will choose my continuous variables, weight, height, BMI, and blood pressure. I put them here. Then the grouping is where I'm telling you. So the quality of life is the outcome variable. SPSS is going to ask you, what did you define the group as? I defined the group as 1 and 0 because it's going to ask you. That's why I needed to show you that. So 1 is poor, 0 is good. So continue. That's all you do. I think that's all. You don't need to do any other thing. You say, okay. So here, it will give you the difference in the mean for weight between poor and good. It will give you the independent t-test. It will also give you the p-value. So see all these numbers now. Imagine trying to move all these numbers into this result table. That's a lot of work, but you don't have to do this manually. So what you need to do, is a ChatGPT instruction for that. Okay? So for mean comparison across two groups. So review the independent sample t-test output provided for anthropometric and blood pressure measurement by quality of life. That's review what is here in this SPSS output. All right, so present them in this table 5. The table 5 is down here, the example of where it should present it. So ChatGPT is aware that the role is the anthropometric variable. As you can see, the anthropometric variable, they are the rows here. And the column is quality of life poor and quality of life good, which is here. Then you have your t-test and your p-value, which you are told it. And you can add a note. We need the test and the p-value in brackets. So you want ChatGPT to have the t-test, then put the p-value in bracket. Then ensure that mean and standard deviation values are reported exactly as provided. Values are reported to 2 decimal places. P-values from the independent sample t-test are reported exactly the way they are. So we may review that just to be sure. But I know ChatGPT is doing the right thing. It's not hallucinating. Yeah, but we can just check like we checked the other time. We can check this one again just to be sure. No new calculations or statistical tests are introduced. Just use exactly what the SPSS output has given to you. Variable names are consistent. Whatever variable name is here, if you have weight, also put weight. If you have height, also put height. If you have BMI, put BMI. Don't add your own variable names. Provide the table in a clean MS format. Include a footnote staging. You can tell it to include a footnote staging so that t-test means independent student t-test, because we have 2 versions of t-test. We have the paired student t-test. We have the independent student t-test. The independent is because poor and good, they are independent of each other. So that's why it's called independent t-test. T-test because you're comparing differences in 2 means. But if it's for paired, it means that it's the same population. You collected the data from the same population at 2 different times. All right. So let's assume now you are checking for the quality of life, the weight, or let's say weight of children in a particular community. So you think the community children, they are malnourished, and you collected their weights. You call it pre-weight. You carried out an intervention. After 6 months, you came to the community and took the same weight of the children. So you have pre-weight and post-weight. So you collected 2 different weights at 2 different times, but the same population. But you're still checking for differences in 2 mean weights. So if that is what you did, then it will not be independent student t-test. It will now be paired student t-test, because the 2 means you're comparing, they are from the same population, but collected at 2 different time intervals. Okay, so you tell ChatGPT, oh, I have put this before, let me delete this one. Do not include interpretation or narrative at this point. So this is where you paste the analysis result. So we'll come to the SPSS output, highlight this, copy it, and paste it. Sorry, 5. So paste it here. We can remove this and paste it here. So that is all. All right. So that's all. So let's highlight everything. We can highlight everything, copy it, then go to our ChatGPT and paste it there so that it will generate the table for us. Okay, so it has generated the table for us, our t-test p-value. So imagine having to do all these things manually, moving all these values. And you see all these plenty values that you have here. The only thing you really need here is the student t-test and the p-value. That's all. All these other things, you may not really need them. You know, so ChatGPT saves you a lot of stress. So all you do, just copy this, go to the Word documents. Like I said, you will have to have one, blank one. Remove this and paste it. Then just copy the values, because you already have the table. So just copy the values and come to your result table and paste it here. That's all. All right. Then you can delete the extra and put a border down here. Okay. Put a border down here. Bottom border. Okay. So I think this is it. So you can adjust this. You can adjust this. It's so it looks finer, a bit finer. Okay. This can so this looks a bit finer. Okay, so another thing I can say for the student t-test, you may not, although the minor signs are here, so let us confirm that these values are correct. So let me just copy this, just a quick, just to be sure ChatGPT is not hallucinating. So let me put this here. So weight for poor, the mean weight for poor is 65.88. The mean weight for poor 65.88, so it's correct. The standard deviation is 14.24. Standard deviation is 14.24 is correct. So let's see systolic blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure poor is 120.05. Systolic blood pressure 4 is 120.05 is correct. Standard deviation 18.35. 18.35 is correct. So ChatGPT is not hallucinating. So we delete this. Yeah. Okay. So like I said, like I was trying to say, for the t-test, you don't have to leave the minus sign. You can actually remove the minus signs. Okay. It's not really necessary, and leave just the t-test and the p-value. All right. Okay. So that is for objective 5. Then we go to the final, that's the final objective, objective 6, where we're doing the logistic regression. So we will do the crude odds ratio. We will do the adjusted odds ratios together. Okay. But the principle, I have a webinar on logistic regression. Like I said, this is not a data analysis class. Okay. So I'm not sharing all the principles and all that here, but I have a webinar on logistic regression. You can check, it's in one of those videos. So if you want to learn on how to do logistic regression, the conditions of logistic regression, why do we need it, how do we interpret it and all that, that's not the purpose of this workshop. So you can actually go to that webinar and watch. Okay, so this table is simple because I want to have the crude odds ratio and the adjusted odds ratio in the same table. But the principle is you run the chi-square, the variables that are statistically significant in the chi-square, you move to the bivariate logistic regression, which is the crude odds ratio. Then the variables that are statistically significant in the crude odds ratio, you move to the adjusted odds ratio. These principles have been explained in detail in the logistic regression webinar. So here we are just running the analysis and making ChatGPT put these values for us. So objective 6, so let's run the logistic regression. So for the crude odds ratio is, so let's close this. So what are we doing? You are looking for social demographic characteristics, how it associates with quality of life. Now, in logistic regression, for the, like, sex is 2, the way you impute variables that have 2 values and the way you impute variables that have more than 2 values in logistic regression is different. Okay, for values that are 2, you don't have to select a reference. Okay, but values that are more than 2, you will select a reference, so that, because it's more than 2. All right. So it will have to choose a reference. Either the first value will be the reference or the last value will be the reference. Okay. So for the bivariant, which is the crude, you will run one variable, one explanatory variable against the dependent variable, one after the other. So let's run the bivariant first. So you go to analyze regression, the bivariant. So the quality of life, which is the dependent, will come here. It does not change. So we will run the sex. We put the sex here. It's 2 values, male or female. So we don't need to choose a category. So we can only choose the 95% confidence interval. I think that's all. Then you say, okay, it's going to generate the odds ratio for you, which is this exponential p 0.82, the 95% confidence interval, and the significant value. Then we'll run the second, because this is the crude odds ratio, the bivariate. You run them one at a time. So we'll run the second social demographic characteristics. So we remove the sex and run educational status. So educational status is more than 2 values. So we have to choose a reference. So let's choose, you put it here, let's choose last as the reference. That's tertiary as the reference. So we continue and we say, okay, it will populate it here. Then we will do the next social demographic characteristics. We remove education, we choose marital status. Marital status is more than 2 values, so we choose a reference. Maybe we choose last still. Okay. Yeah. So we do the final one. The final one is employment status is 2 values. Either they're employed, yes or no. So we don't need a reference for that. So you just put it here and you just run. That's all. So it's here. So we have all the crude odds ratios now. So we run because our table has both, our chapter table has both the crude, the p-value, and the adjusted. So let's now run the adjusted. So analyze regression, but this time we'll go to multinomial. All right. So you put your quality of life, which is dependent here. Then you will put all the social demographic characteristics, exception of the age group. We're not interested in the age group. So the sex, the educational status, marital status, employment, we put it here. That's all. You don't do anything. You just run it. So this is the bivariant. So the crude, which is this is the multivariant. That's the adjusted. You put all the independent variable together. So we will have to, so let's look at the instruction for bivariant. I think that's 6. Let me see. So instruction for bivariant and multivariant. So review the logistic regression output provided for these. Present it in this table. The table 6 is here. This is a sample table. So the role, which is the independent variables and their categories. The independent variables are the social demographic characteristics. The column, we have the crude odds ratio, p-value, adjusted odds ratio, and p-value. So they are the ones that represents the column here, as you can see. So you're telling ChatGPT, ensure that reference categories are clearly indicated using arrows. So reference categories, which is why if you notice as we're running the logistic regression, we are choosing a reference value. And that reference value helps in the interpretation. Okay, so you can watch the logistic regression video so that you would appreciate what the reference value really means. So ChatGPT should be aware there's crude odds ratio, there's adjusted odds ratio, there's 95% confidence interval, there's p-value. Ensure that you add all these things in this table, extract them from these outputs, and put them in the table. The confidence interval, ensure the lower and upper, they are in brackets, and the p-value should be in 3 decimal places. Example, this or this, but it should be 1, 2, 3. Use 3 decimal places for the p-value, okay? The way it is here. So use it that way. Don't abbreviate for any reason. Then for the statistical significance, p-values, put an asterisk there. So use a dash for the reference. So for the variable or the rows that are the reference value that we have chosen last for most of the variables. For those that we chose as the reference value, use a dash because the reference values, they don't have units. Okay, the reference values for logistic regression, they don't have crude odds ratios, they don't have confidence interval, they don't have p-values. They are reference values. So use dash to represent them. All right, no new variable should be added and format. So you can include a footnote so that we know that arrow means reference value, CO arrow means crude odds ratio, AO arrow means adjusted odds ratio, 95 CH means 95% confidence interval. So do not include interpretation or narrative in explaining the result at all. So what we can do is just come here, do Control A, highlight everything, Control C, copy, then come to the prompt and paste it here. So you paste here. So paste here, and that's it. It's a lot of text. You just go to the end to ensure that is the table that ended it. Once you ensure the table ended it and the instruction is up, Control A, and you copy everything. Just come to ChatGPT and paste it there. Okay, I think that's it. So you just paste, and it will generate. ChatGPT knows how to pick the values that are the crude and the values that are the adjusted odds ratio. So that's amazing. So this one is a pretty tough somehow because it has to be dealing with a lot of values here. So that's why it's saying it is actually thinking. All right. So mapping and the rest, but at the end of the day, it's going to do the right thing. So it's clarifying some things and all that, resolving interpretation and all that. So it's preparing the table now for the crude odds ratio and the adjusted odds ratio. The exponential B is also known as the O arrow. So it will put the table now. So it has done it. So this one took a little time for ChatGPT because you more like put the crude and the adjusted together. So ChatGPT will have to fish out the crude first, then it now fish out the values for the adjusted. So this is it. So you don't have to look at all these many output and begin to move all these values one by one. That's a lot of time. So it has done it for you. So all you need to do is to copy this, go to a fresh Word document, paste it there. So then copy this and put in your table, in your result table that you've already created. So that's it. So the reference value is dash, like you've asked it to do, because reference values don't have odds ratio or 95% confidence interval. So everything is intact. The table is longer, so we can format this. No border, then you can put your bottom border. Okay, so this is good. So you can see there's some jumping, so you may want to maybe sorry, you may want to bring this a bit just to format the table a bit, maybe bring this like this. You see, so you still have some space here that you can bring this. This is okay. Then you can close out this a little. So this is looking better now, right? Okay. So that's it for the table 6. I think that is all. You for your work, you had 6 objectives. Those 6 objectives, you created a table for each of those objectives, and you have been able to put the values for each of those tables based on the objective. So the next thing now is to write up the result. That's the next thing. So writing up the result, it has its own instruction. So I have a detailed instruction for writing up results. So ChatGPT instruction for generating result narrative. So accurate, descriptive, and examiner safe. So review the result table provided below. So you would paste the result table here. So let's do the first one. So let's take this first result table. So you copy this first result table you had done in ChatGPT, then put it in the prompt. So paste it here first so that you don't forget. Okay. So you said review the result table provided below, which is this one down here, which is this one. Then generate a result narrative that reports the findings clearly and accurately. The narrative must describe what was found based strictly on the values presented in the tables that are below. Mirror the order and structure of the tables. Highlight statistical significant findings where applicable. So this particular one now is descriptive. So statistical significance is not applicable here. So it's going to skip that. Report the direction and magnitude of effect using exact statistics. If that applies, use neutral academic language. Very, very important. Very, very important. Then ensure that no causal explanation are introduced, because when you're writing results, you don't make causal explanation in result. You just describe your result findings the way it is. All right. For example, now you did the association between gender, the association between gender and quality of life, and the analysis showed that more males have poor quality of life compared to female. You now start making causal inferences that that you think that the reason why men have more poor quality of life because they work harder more, they expose themselves to a lot of things that affects their health and all that. Those things are not necessary because you didn't collect such data, so you can't make such causal explanation. Explain the results based on the data you are seeing right there in front of you, not begin to make insinuation of things that you didn't collect data for. So no causal explanation are introduced, no reasons, mechanisms or interpretations are provided, no new variables or analysis are introduced, exact values for mean, standard deviation, test statistics, frequency, and the rest of them are used. Appropriate terminology is used, like associated with, not predicted, cost, or influence. So if you didn't do multivariate logistic regression, you can't use the word prediction. You can't do only chi-square and use prediction. Chi-square is associated. For you to use the word predict, social demographic age predicts quality of life, you have to have done multivariate logistic regression. That's the condition for using that word prediction. So ChatGPT should know that. Use the following reporting formats where applicable for descriptive result, the mean, you give it an example of the way you want it to. And this part is very important. Apply the following standards consistently across all outputs. ChatGPT has to maintain a particular standard. Use a uniform number of decimal. Not in one result you use 2 decimal, in another result you use 3 decimal. Use identical variable labels. Not in some explanation you use sex, in another explanation you use gender. It has to maintain the same variable label that is in the table. And finally, use one reporting convention. Use the exact p-value 0.047 rather than less than 0.05, which does not really mean anything. Use the exact p-value. All right, not all the p-value in the result you're using p less than 0.05 because the reviewers may want to know what was the exact p-value. So ChatGPT needs to know this. So once you have done this, all you need to do is highlight this with the table below. You just copy it and go to ChatGPT and paste. That's all. And it's going to write up the result for you very nicely based on those instructions. So it's writing up the result for you. So it has written up the result for you based on those instructions you've given. So the only thing you do, you have to read yourself. I think we'll talk about that a little more when we are looking at the ethics, of what ChatGPT is doing. So this is the result interpretation for table 1. You can do the same for table 2. So this time you may not copy and paste. You may just copy. Once you have done that, and ChatGPT has established the format that it's going to use, you can just copy the table. You don't have to paste it again. You can just copy the table and tell ChatGPT, do the same here. You only paste that in once. You can now subsequently just be pasting the result. You can tell ChatGPT, do the same here, and you paste the table, and ChatGPT will write it up for you. That's it. It has written it up. You will do the same for this other one. So let's go to the bigger table. So you can copy this one, and copy it and go there and say, do the same here, which is the inferential statistics, and it's going to write up the inferential statistics for you. The chi-square, the statistical significance, all that is going to write it up for you. So your job now is to read it up. Educational status was also not statistical significant with quality of life. It's going to write it up for you. So another thing, so you see, so you would notice that there is no discussion here. Discussion is different from results. Your results, you talk about your findings, the data that you're seeing in those tables. You don't make any form of inferences. It's your discussion now that you begin to make inferences. Oh, your prevalence is higher than this, and the reason why you think is higher may be similar to, that's your discussion. You now begin to compare similar results with other studies that have been done, or contrasting with the reason why your prevalence was higher or lower than another study that was done in another city, based on the study design or based on the population of the data of the sample that you used and the other person did not use, all those sort of things. All right. So the final one is the other table, which is the logistic regression. So let's copy that. You can copy your table, the logistic regression, and you can paste it here. After you have done, do the same here once or twice. You may not do it again. Just paste the table and ChatGPT will know what to do. Okay, so you can see now. So after you have done, do the same here, do the same here, maybe a few times. You may not be doing that again. Once you paste the result, ChatGPT will be able to know what you want. So that is it. So for the lecture notes, so we have done that. We have done the result itself. So I've actually done this, generating accurate and defensible result narrative. So I have done that. When prompting GPT, specify outcome variable, which we did, comparison group, statistical tests, they are all there in the table. So ChatGPT is going to use that, all right, to present the result for you. Now, efficiently responding to supervisor and reviewers' comment, ChatGPT can actually also help with that. So I have some examples that you can use. I am going to share that as well, that are here. Efficiently responding to supervisor and reviewers' comment. Example one: revising a table to match journal format. Now, the table below has been flagged by my supervisor for formatting issues. Revise the table so that it aligns with. So this is instruction you're giving ChatGPT. What was the reviewer's comment? Revise table 2 to align with journal format. This was your original table. So you have your original table, you paste it here, which is table 2. Then this is the journal format table, which is this one. Okay, so the journal format table is this. They want the variables to be here, they want the values to be here, then the number and the percentage, but this is what you did. So they want you to revise the table so that it aligns with the journal format, which is this one. So you can use this instruction. The table below has been flagged by my supervisor for formatting issues. Revise the table so that it aligns with standard journal formatting convention. Ensure that all numerical values remain exactly the same. So ChatGPT will be converting this table 2 to this new table 2. All right, which is the journal format table 2, but it has to ensure that the values here are the same in this new format here. It does not change. And no statistical results that was, calculated. In other words, no statistical results are recalculated or modified. That's if you have t-test or all that, it should not change the format or anything. Maintain column headings, maintain decimals. If you have one decimal here, in the new table is creating, it should be 1 decimal. It should not change anything. Then the table is suitable for direct insertion into an MS Word format. So what you do, you can just copy this and put the reviewer's comments, the original table, which is this one, then the table you want ChatGPT to convert it. So ChatGPT can convert this table to this table. So you just copy that and paste it here. All right? And paste it here, or you can open a new chart. It's the same thing. You can open a new chart and paste this here. And ChatGPT will turn your format table into the new table format. So this is the new table format that is requested. This is what you had before. Sorry. This is what you have before. You told ChatGPT to turn it to this. And as you can see, ChatGPT has turned it to this. The values are the same. It didn't change anything. 261,388. If you look at your previous table, you can see it's the same. 261,388. Didn't change anything. So this is an example in responding to a supervisor or reviewer's comment. So the second example, clarifying the result narrative without changing the meaning. So you can use this example. So if they want you to clarify a narrative without changing any meaning, so the reviewer's comment, you can put the reviewer's comment here. Then you can put the original text here using this instruction. ChatGPT will revise that narrative based on the reviewer's comments. So the other example, combining two tables into one. So let's assume that you have done a study and you have table 3, social demographic characteristics, and you have table 4, assessment of healthy lifestyle, and your reviewer says, these tables, for example, these tables are too long. I want you to merge table 3 and table 4. You can use this comment. So 2 separate tables, you can tell ChatGPT, 2 separate tables reporting related results have been flagged for consolidation. Merge the tables below into one coherent table following a clear and logical structure. Ensure that all the statistical, the same thing we have said before. So the reviewer's comment, you put it here, combine table 3 and 4. So you paste your table 3 here, you paste your table 4 here. So ChatGPT is going to merge these 2 tables for you now. So you just copy this, and paste it here in ChatGPT, and it's going to merge the 2 as one table. Okay. So I guess that's a pretty tough job. So it's delaying a bit, but it's going to do it. While we're waiting for ChatGPT, interested in the recording. The recording will be shared to every registered member. So if you didn't register and you got this link from someone, I think you should register. Yes, we will share the data set. Everything we have used will be shared. The recording will be uploaded in YouTube. The data will be shared, everything. Someone is asking, if you are doing logistic regression to look out for association, what do we consider for bivariate analysis? Is it the chi-square output or the logistic regression output after running each independent? If you're running logis, I'm not clear on this, your Okuku. Yeah, so this is taking time. So if it happens like this, you can stop. Maybe open a new chart. You can stop, open a new chart, and paste that again. Probably, I don't know why it's dragging. You can stop, open a new chart, and paste again. So it has pasted it. So it's here. So if there's a delay, you can open a new chart and paste the instruction again. So this is it. So you see, it has merged social demographic characteristics and healthy lifestyle choices. It has merged the 2 tables together. All right. Okay. So that is it. So let's look at the final thing. So we'll call it a day. Based on my lecture notes, the ethical and responsible use of ChatGPT in academic writing. So you have to appreciate the fact that ChatGPT is a writing and formatting aid. So it helps you to write and format. In other words, it makes your life easy. All right. Not a substitute for statistical reasoning, not an author of results. All right. I know that there has been a lot of debate if we should put ChatGPT as a co-author. Well, I don't know where that has gone to, but I don't know if I'm going to put ChatGPT as an author, because it helped me to align my result better. So most journals will ask you to state what you used ChatGPT for in your publication. So you can tell them, ChatGPT assisted with formatting your tables and imputing the values and the rest of them. All right. So key ethical principles, participants are trained so to maintain transparency where required, validate all output manually, which is what I did. You would notice that occasionally I would copy the SPSS output to confirm what ChatGPT has done, because these are research results. You don't want ChatGPT to promote what you didn't do. So it is your responsibility as a researcher to ensure that the output in your SPSS is the same value, is the same replication that you have when ChatGPT does, what it does, in order to avoid data fabrication or manipulation, right? So respect institutional and journal AI policies. Like I said, most journals will ask you, did you use AI? What did you use AI to do? So tell them what you used AI to do. All right. So what should never be delegated to ChatGPT, choosing statistical tests. These are principles that you learn from textbooks. And I have written blogs on statistical tests. Like I said, ChatGPT can hallucinate, ChatGPT can make mistake. So you don't have to trust ChatGPT totally when it comes to your statistical test. You use your statistical software to run your analysis, run your test. You can use statistical textbooks to interpret what your test does, or you can meet your statistical consultant to help with that. Now, altering p-value, that's called p-hacking. So that's why you need to check the output ChatGPT has given you, just to ensure that the p-values were not altered and ChatGPT didn't abbreviate the p-values to mean what it's not, and the interpretation of its causality to ensure that it's doing the right thing. All right. So also align your institutional policies with what you're using ChatGPT to do. So observe what your school, institution, or the journal wants. If they want you to use AI, what level of AI do they want you to use? So you have to find out, so that when you're using ChatGPT, you're comfortable that you are not breaching any ethical rule when it comes to using your ChatGPT. Yeah, I think this is where we are wrapping up. So we will take the questions now, but not to worry. For those that registered, the recordings will be shared with you. The prompts will be shared with you. The data will be shared with you. Everything will be shared in the YouTube so that you can actually practice on your own. And like I said, whether you're using free version of the ChatGPT or the paid one, there's no limitation. They will still do the same thing. Thank you very much, everyone that is uploading the session. Thank you very, very much. So we will take the questions. Then I would look at the chat a little. But first, before I take, so let me unmute everyone. We are almost wrapping up. Just a second. So I'm allowing you to unmute yourself and ask your question. But I would like Okuku to ask first, please. Okuku, Dan Khan, your question in the chat is not clear. Are you able to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yes, thank you, Prof. My question was just clarification on when you're doing logistic regression, looking out for association. We have the bivariate analysis that you're going to get the variables and then get them into the multivariate. So my question is, what do we consider for the bivariate? Is it the output from the chi-square, or after running one independent factor against the dependent?
Yes, is the second thing you just said. It's not the chi-square. Chi-square is a different analysis. After you have run your chi-square, you will now run the bivariate logistic regression like I showed you. Let me share my screen again and show you quickly. So this is what, so for your chi-square is a different analysis. For your chi-square, you go to analyze, descriptive, and you go to your cross tabulation. So this is the chi-square. You put your dependent variable in the column and your independent variable in the rows, and you run your chi-square. This is the chi-square. It gives you the chi-square value and the p-value. That's a different analysis. For your bivariant, is a different thing you do. You go to analyze, regression, binary. So you choose one independent variable and your dependent outcome, and you run it, and it gives you this. So it's a different thing. So what you put in the bivariant is your bivariant output that came out in SPSS. Then your chi-square, you also put them where they belong. So these are two different analyses. Yeah.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the
Yes.
presentation, and God bless you. So
Yeah,
I only
thank you.
want to just to be more clearer on the use of AI. I want to ask that we can do without SPSS in AI. We can use AI alone without going through SPSS first, based on what you've done to us today.
No. What I have done is, you analyze your data with different traditional software. You can
Yeah.
use SPSS, you can use Arrow, you can use Epi Info. What I'm basically teaching is when you run your analysis, that analysis will give you an output.
Yeah.
What we normally do is we will take that analysis output and manually impute them in the tables.
Okay.
And that takes a lot of time. So what I'm showing you now that instead of manually moving your values from the analysis output into the dummy tables you have created, ChatGPT can help you extract those values and arrange it in those tables. So if you're moving the value, let's say now you had run a chi-square of maybe 10 independent variable against an outcome. Trust me, it may take you up to 40, 50 minutes for you to move all those individual values into your tables from SPSS. But with ChatGPT, it won't even take you up to 5 minutes, and you have done the same thing. So it saves you time.
Yeah.
Your job is now to be sure that it moved the exact values. So that instead of moving 5, it will now tell you it's 10, so that's where the ethical practice comes, so that you don't present to the world a distorted result.
Thank you
Which
very
is
much.
different from what you have in your analysis output. Yeah.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Thank you very much. God bless
All
you.
right, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful as always. Please, I have a question. Do you have any videos of analysis of quasi-experimental studies where there were 2 independent groups at baseline and endline? Do you have any such videos on your channel?
Well, it is the same principle. I have a particular one, how to analyze and manage a data analysis project. I think this will be helpful. Let me drop it for you. This particular webinar will.
Okay, I wanted the reason I was asking because I want to know how.
Let me see. Go ahead. I will come to you.
Okay, sir. I was saying the reason I was actually asking is to be able to analyze within group differences between 2 independent groups. What test do we use for within?
So yeah, so the way it works is if you have an intervention and a control, all right. So let's say in that intervention you did a pre-intervention and post-intervention.
Yes, sir.
So if you do a pre-intervention and post-intervention, this is the same population, but you took the data at different time points. So if you want to check for the difference, categorical difference between pre-intervention and post-intervention for independence, you are going to be using the chi-square. All right, that's if they are independent. But if you are dealing with continuous variable, like I mentioned, if you're dealing with continuous variable and you have a pre and you have a post, it's the paired t-test.
He said that. He told us.
Okay. Yeah. So just a second. Yeah, just a second.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, just a second. Is it test? Yeah, McNema. That's the test I was looking for. So for continuous, it's the
Okay.
paired t-test. All right.
Okay.
Then
Yes,
for binary, which is categorical, you use the McNemar's test. The McNemar's test.
Okay.
So chi-square is
Oh.
for independence, but McNemar is for paired.
For
If you're checking
paired.
for differences in percentages, you use the McNemar.
Continue.
Yes. Yes, I think that is what you use. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, sir.
No,
Thank
no
you.
worries. Yeah, Dr. Mrs. Salisu.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Felix. It's good to
Yeah,
hear from you again. And
yeah.
I will call this chat GPT prompt engineering for statistical outcomes, if I may rephrase your word, because giving
Yes, yes.
so much. But my worry is people like us still stick to originality of intellectuals when you are trying to write manuscript. I have found myself in a place where, because of things like this, you've given so much to ChatGPT, giving it the result outcome, giving it a table, you're training it the more, and yet it cannot, the reviewers cannot distinguish between the outcome from ChatGPT and the originality of the researcher. I'll give you an example. Just the same interpretation of results you used in this webinar was written by someone like me. And when it was sent to the proposed, supposedly journal for publication, plagiarism was discovered. And it's not that I used ChatGPT. I wrote it and I was dumbfounded. I saw everything written the way I wrote it myself. And it brings me down to, how do we check the originality when the reviewers cannot distinguish between, since you have trained the ChatGPT with so much data, the tables, the interpretation of result, and yet it will create problem for for researcher to publish originality of their work, even though it was interpreted by themselves. Because when I saw the interpretation of the result, exactly what was, and so I'm just,
Dr.
see,
Mrs. Salisu. Eh?
yes,
Let me use this narrative for you. You
okay,
remember in the when you read the Bible, the Old Testament or even the New Testament, we would hear that people will move from Jericho to Bethlehem and they are going to use donkey, and it will
okay.
take them 5 days, 10 days. Sometimes they will trek. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am currently in Nairobi. Imagine if I had used donkey from my city, Port Harcourt, to Nairobi. I don't know how many months or how many years it's going to take me being in a donkey from West Africa to East Africa. So what if I had said, I want originality? Our forefathers used to travel by donkey. I don't want to distort that originality, so I would maintain the donkey travel.
No, I don't
How?
say I want to
No,
maintain.
no, hold on,
I'm
hold
just
on.
looking at how to adapt. Okay,
Wait
okay,
now. I'm answering your question. Eh?
okay.
So,
I'm listening.
so do you know that? Do you know that
Okay,
currently most of
yeah,
the applications I have made,
okay.
they will say you are allowed to use ChatGPT to write the
Awesome.
application. Even the ones I wrote recently, they write it there clearly. You are allowed to use ChatGPT to write your application, but it is your responsibility to ensure
Okay.
that ChatGPT's output is correct and represents your originality.
Oh, okay.
So the
Okay.
point I'm trying to say, we are in an era you would see, you should not carry this burden. I don't want you to carry, it's a burden. All right?
Okay.
That is why most journals will tell you, did you use ChatGPT? What did you use ChatGPT for?
Okay.
There's always is there. Yeah. So if you use ChatGPT, just state it there. Oh, I use ChatGPT to do this, to do that. If you didn't use it, state it there. But trying to find out whether somebody used
That's what I
ChatGPT or
just said.
no.
I replied the reviewer. I
Yeah.
replied the reviewer that was what I wrote. I did not use AI.
Yes. So, but
and
didn't the journal Didn't the
Yeah.
journal give you that? Because most journals will give that opportunity to state whether you use AI or not. The journal didn't have that.
No, the journal did not have that.
Did not have that.
Yes. So I
Maybe
convinced them that I did not use it. So I was
they
have to
should.
go and redo the work, do another analysis, very extensive to be able to like convince for subsequent submission.
No. You should not go through that headache next time. Please
I
look
was dumbfounded.
no, you don't have to go through that headache. Look for a journal that will give you opportunity to state what you did with AI. The world has changed though, to begin to micromanage people, whether they use it's going to be hard though. Trust me.
Thank you.
Because these days we want to get things done faster.
Done fast. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let me take Chinazom first, then another person. I don't know if Williams have a question, but let me take Chinazom first. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Every man's question.
Last time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Very insightful presentation, and it really helped me because I think I used to have this like tussle. I think the issue is that many people are resistant to change. So I like this last conversation that was happening. So I wanted to just lend my voice. I think the mistake we make is outsourcing our thinking to ChatGPT. But understanding that ChatGPT is there to help us and not to replace us.
Exactly.
So we still use our own brains to synthesize whatever output to make sure it makes meaning. That's how you can have your own originality. The way you think is different from the way I think. The way everybody on this call, our thinking is different. So different outputs from ChatGPT. If I want to now synthesize it into my own paper, it will not be the same way you would discuss it, look at it. You are going to apply that your own context to it. So I feel that that's it for me. I think the mistake people make is that if ChatGPT brings an output, they just copy it and paste, and they don't use their own to synthesize that thing. It is that using your brain is what will bring how your own brain, that original, your own originality. So what I've learned from this is that the output is as good as the prompts. So I think that's the mistake. So that's why I want to just say kudos that this presentation really like enlightened me that if you see that your prompts is sometimes it's like 2 pages if you put it in a Word document or 1 page. So not like those prompts. So it still brings to fact that we too, our own brain, the person prompting the ChatGPT matters. How you if you would understand the theory behind what you're doing also matters, such that you're not just prompt because whatever you give it is what will just come out.
Exactly.
And then lastly, about the journal thing, I know that most journals, I think the issue is about Nigeria. I think the issue is that maybe some local journals are probably still stuck in time. Because I feel in the use of in the use of AI, I think the main thing is about transparency. Well, beyond using it ethically, not just copying, pasting, carrying fake references or whatever, but at least being transparency. Because in Nigeria, people feel that you're penalized for using AI. Our system here is different. The things we are focused on is different. But I discussed with a friend that schooled in a very Ivy League school, LSE, London School of Economics, and he was saying that they give them subscriptions for AI, for generative AI. It's part of how you have access to some of these libraries. They also have access to the paid version of generative AI. So if those schools allow it, it means that, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with it. I think the issue is being transparent. If you're submitting something and they ask you, did you use AI for analysis or AI for so? Someone that is not a Nigerian is more likely to say yes. But a Nigerian is more likely to lie because they think admitting that they use AI makes them less intelligent. Then if they now do and discover that use AI, that's where the issue, that means you're a dishonest person. So I just wanted to bring up the aspect of that transparency. I don't think the issue is about being transparent and using it ethically. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And just to add this, ChatGPT is called artificial intelligence, AI, and it will remain artificial intelligence because there's only one original intelligence, which is you and I. That's why they still call it artificial intelligence. It's an intelligence, but it's still artificial. So you and me, we are the original intelligence. So we have to guide this AI to actually bring out the originality in us. Yeah, thank you so much, Shinazom, for that contribution. So Tompoy, we are wrapping up. Tompoy, easy made. I know you wanted to say something, so just hold on a bit. Tompoy, please go ahead. I hope I had not muted you.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Oh, Sai is the one speaking. Okay, Sai, could you hold on? Let me have easy mate. Could you I know you had been edging to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know whether
Yeah,
everybody can hear me.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Of course, you know who is speaking. He's your good friend, Dr.
Okay.
Birim.
Okay, great, Doc. Welcome.
This is the Philip for them. All right, so I just wanted some clarification. I don't know how you managed to do all these things. I thank God for grace that He has bestowed upon you, for the energy, for the time, and resources you put into all these things. As in, you are so amazing. I want to
Thank
appreciate you
you.
for that. So my
Thank you
question
so much.
is this: if you are using, some people when they are doing a logistic regression, they use
Mm.
one for the reference category. So does
Yes.
it change anything if you are using one as reference category from what you are
Well,
explaining when
yeah,
you're using that?
it's just that most of the time, let's use standard practice. I think standard practice is actually arrow, which is rare because it actually is a reference value,
Uh,
So standard practice is arrow. So I would prefer to use arrow as because arrow is reference. So
okay.
it aligns better with what it's supposed to be doing than one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because most times if you are using RF or if you are using one, when you are trying to interpret it to, say that these people have more odds of, chances of having this outcome and all
Yeah.
that, I think, but we can look at it later. Then another thing I want to ask is, when do you use effect size, especially when you are talking about the p-value? Some people will also tell you that you should include effect size.
There's no need now. There's no need for effect size when it comes to p-value. You know why? Because p-value is like a reference value that tells you whether the association you have done is statistically significant or not. Whether you have 0.05 or you have 0.01 or you have 0.02, it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. There's nothing like better significance or lower significance or higher significance. There's nothing like that. So significance is significant. So effect size doesn't really work here, But
Okay, so effect
for me,
size comes
yeah,
into play when exactly?
sample size determination.
Okay.
Sample size determination, yes. That's where
Okay.
it plays a key role because the effects, let's say now you want to check the effects of a medication on a group. Maybe you have an intervention group, you have a control group. You want to check the effect of a medication. You as the researcher can determine what effect size you want to see in that research. So the
Okay.
higher the effect size, the more sample. So if you need more effect size, it means you have to get more sample. So I think
Oh,
I explained some of these in the webinar. If you check the webinar on sample size determination, if you check the
okay.
webinar on sample size determination, yes, I did I mentioned some things in detail about effect size there, yeah, and the different levels of effect sizes, yes.
Okay, now the third question is on the regression that we did. I
Yes,
noticed that for bivariate regressions that you did, you just picked one of the, let me say, exposure against the
yes,
independent outcome.
yes.
Is it still proper to put many of the covariants in that for that particular
no,
you know what I'm talking about.
There's no need, because unless you don't want to do multivariate logistic regression.
I mean, in terms of when you want to do multivariate logistic regression, do you put all the covariants under that space for covariants on that binary logistic regression prompt or what?
So let me appreciate
Some people will now go and now select the
let me
variables
appreciate
that
what
are
you're saying.
categorical. They'll go further.
So this is the multivariate. Do you mean if you're putting a covariant here? Is this what you mean? You put the factors, you put the dependent, then you put covariate here.
No. I mean in the one of binary.
No, in the one of binary, that's why it's called binary logistic regression. Is one at a time.
So it must be one at a time.
Yes, it's one at a time. You don't put more than one covariant. That's why it's called binary, two variable. Binary.
Yes,
it has to be two. Yes. One dependent, one independent. You should not put more than. If you need to put more than one, then it means you're doing a multivariate.
So you now use the multinomial.
Yes, you now use the multinomial. Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. My final question is this: do you have any training on how to do qualitative data analysis using in vivo?
No, in vivo, no. But I can get for you if you follow me up with a message. There are many out there. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. It's my pleasure.
All right.
I'll chat to you.
All right, thank you. And for those that have waited just a few minutes, so I can take the questions. Hold on, please, Vivo, please. Yeah, hold on, please, Vivo. Tompoy, I know Tompoy hand has been up. I don't know. Are you having issues on muting yourself? Tompoy, your hand has been on.
Yes, I've been having issues.
Okay, on muting yourself. Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
Thank you. I've able to, and thank you so much for the webinar. I really appreciate, and you're most welcome to Nairobi, Kenya. And,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm just around. So,
okay.
So my question is, I had you generating in the logistic regression, that is in multiple logistic regression, generating both the crude OR and adjusted OR. My question is, I'm sorry, maybe I'm taking you back. Maybe you have explained in one of your webinars, but is there a point whereby you can use crude OR and adjusted OR? And then we have as well confidence interval at logistic regression to interpret the results. And secondly, I'm not so sure whether
Okay, hold on. Repeat that first question again.
My question was on
the first one.
I saw you generating on SPSS. I saw you generating crude OR and adjusted OR at the same time. Most of the time when you use a software like Stata, it will only generate probably one of the one, maybe crude OR or adjusted OR. So my question is there any point you use crude OR, like both crude OR and adjusted OR, to explain your results?
Okay. That is more like okay. First, I have pasted the webinar on logistic regression. Like I said, this is not the session for logistic regression. Yeah, but the way it works is there are actually principles. These things work by principles. Okay, so the way it works is first you run a chi-square. That's the principle. But if we're following the principle, you will see that the only variable that is statistically significant is employment status. In this table now, since employment status is the only variable that is statistically significant, this data, this association is not eligible. We can't run crude odds ratio and adjusted odds ratios because we need at least 3 variables that are statistically significant in the chi-square. So if we have like 3 values that are statistically significant in the chi-square, you run a crude odds ratios first. crude odds ratio is bivariant, meaning that you want to see, for example, now gender, is gender associated with quality of life? So if it's significant and is educational status associated with quality of life, is it significant? Is marital status associated with quality of life? Is it significant? Now, if all these, for example, now, if all these variables were significant in the crude odds ratio, in the crude odds ratio, they can be encouraging each other. That's one thing with crude odds ratio. So meaning that the fact that somebody, now look at this now, if the crude odds ratio here says that someone in tertiary level of education has better quality of life, I'm just giving an example. Somebody with tertiary education has better quality of life. The crude now says that somebody that is married has better quality of life, and now says somebody that is employed has better quality of life. So when you're interpreting the crude, you will say, oh, tertiary level of education, being married, and employment status all encourage better quality of life. That's in the crude odds ratio. But when you now put everything in the pool, you may realize that the only thing that may be statistically significant is tertiary. Marital status may not be significant anymore. Employment may not be significant anymore. What the adjusted odds ratio is telling you is that the fact that somebody has tertiary education means that the person will most likely be married. It means that the person will most likely have been employed. So meaning that employment status is not independent. It is depending on having tertiary education, and marital status is not independent. It's dependent on the person having tertiary. So that's what the adjusted odds ratio does. It will remove confounders. Sorry, let me mute that. It will remove confounders. So when you do an adjusted odds ratio, you'll be able to say that it is only educational level that is a true predictor of quality of life. Marital status is only attaching to educational level because the person has tertiary education, they will most likely be married, and because they have tertiary education, they will most likely get a job. So educational, employment status and marital status were not significant anymore in the adjusted odds ratio because they are not independent, because the adjusted odds ratio checks for independent variable. But crude odds ratios, you will have confounders. They will be complementing each other. So that is the difference, yes. So I have shared that webinar, the logistic regression. I explained all those things in details. Yeah, Clement. Yeah, thank you, Tumpoy. Yeah, Clement.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Felix. Yeah,
Clement,
thank you for the presentation.
No
I just
worries.
wanted to remind you about the what do you call it, prompt engineering training, which you said.
Yes, send me. Yes, so please, if anyone needs, because 4995, that's my WhatsApp number. If anyone needs I think I did one. I completed it, but I can't say which program now. So if you send me a WhatsApp message, I can check and actually send that. Because if you're able to do a prompt engineering course, trust me, you and ChatGPT will be 5 and 6. You will be able to speak with it very well and get what you want with minimal hallucinations. Yeah. Okay. All right. So sorry, let me take a few questions in the chat and we can wrap up. I don't know if I've missed any question, but if you're still here and you ask a question in the chat, you can ask me, but let me see if I can find anyone. Explain in logistic regression, when there are more than 2 options, how do we select a reference value? Yes, so the reference value, if there are more than 2 options, the reference value is dependent on you and dependent on the dependent variable. Let me give you an instance now. Imagine you are doing a study. Let's say this example we are doing now, which is the quality of life. You are interested in poor quality of life. That's your interest. So if you're interested in poor quality of life and you want to associate poor quality of life against educational level, your reference will be tertiary. The value that is not related to the value of the dependent variable that you're interested in will be your reference value. So in educational level, you have no formal education. You know that no formal education should contribute to poor quality of life. You know that primary education will contribute to poor quality of life. You know that secondary education will contribute to poor quality of life, but you know that tertiary will not. So the value that does not contribute to your outcome, that is your reference value. So in this case, tertiary will be your reference value, because you know that when you run the crude odds ratio, you may see things like those that have no formal education were 3.5 times more likely to have poor quality of life compared to the reference value, which is tertiary. You get it now. So that is what inspires what will be your reference value. Yes, you will get the materials. Logistic regression, is it the same as regression analysis? Well, logistic regression is focusing on logical, more like categorical, dependent variables that have two values. That's why it's called logistic. But regression itself can be linear. So you can have linear regression. You can have logistic regression. So the regression analysis, depending on what you want to do. Yeah. So if you say logistic regression and if you say regression analysis, they may not be able to appreciate which regression are you talking about. Is it linear regression that deals with association of continuous variable, or is it logistic regression that deals with association of categorical variable? So you have to state what regression. Yeah, so everyone that is posting their emails here, I don't know if I'll be able to pick your emails, but if you registered, not to worry. If you registered, you are going to get the recording, all right? But if you have not registered, let me put the registration link here so that you can register. Just a second, please. Let me put so just a second. Let me put the registration link. I don't know how you got the Zoom link, but if you didn't officially register, please go and register so that I can send you the recordings, and the materials will be shared to all registered members. So please just take a minute and register so that I will share the recordings with you. So the registration is here. So I think I've addressed everything. I don't know if I missed anybody's question. Did I miss anybody's question, or we can call it a day now? We spent 2 hours plus. Yeah, I think we need to go now. Let me stop the recording.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.